Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Hope everyone is staying cool. It's a nice balmy 91 here. When we got in the car this afternoon, it said it was 105, but that's because it was sitting in the sun. So, hi, Liwells. Dynamic duo. Yeah, it does. How much trouble can we get into? Okay, so what did you enjoy about today's summit? Today, you got to listen to me talk about nutraceuticals and the benefits of supplements. And people make fun of me when I get out my baskets of supplements for my dogs. And sometimes my dogs kind of dictate what they will and will not eat. Like Stewie, when he was in heart failure and kidney failure, had like 28 supplements. And then he got to the point where he was like, yeah, I'm not eating 26 out of those 28. So he dictated what we were going to do. And the same with George. He was on, I think, 18. And now we're down to 4 or 5. So got to let them dictate sometimes when they just, because you want them to eat, calories are more important. But if you can support them with supplements and nutraceuticals, then that'll benefit whatever they have going on, then that's certainly good. Hopefully you really enjoyed Rita Hogan's talk on the use of herbs. And then when you have some spare time, head on over to Dr. Judy U to the podcast with Rita Hogan on treating lipomas with herbs, because it's really, really good. Just tons of information. Caroline says she refers to that one a lot for people when she's moderating in Facebook groups. There's just a ton of good info in there, and I learned a lot from her. So, I'm sure you got a lot out of her talk today was that as well. And then Hannah, balancing real and raw food diets. And if you are new to making your own food, that kind of information is really, 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 really valuable. And then I'd like to hear everybody's thoughts on Dr. Randy Ringgold today. I think he is brilliant. And I love what VDI Labs is doing. And when I did an interview with him, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago, his goal, and I'm just so excited about this, his goal is to have as many test kits as possible that can be done by owners at home and not have to go get that blood draw. So anything that we can do with urine samples, hair samples, stool samples, saliva samples, just to make it easier for the pet owner, because anybody who's tried to get into a new veterinarian or find a holistic veterinarian, you might have found out that either they're not taking new patients, or it's a 6 to 8 month wait to get in anywhere, or, if you need blood work, or even, somebody posted something the other day. Their dog was sick. Oh, they thought it had a urinary tract infection, and they were given an appointment in 3 weeks. It's like, well, okay, then wouldn't it be nice if you had a urine test at home, which we do have the urine test strips. So you could test at home and say, look at that. We have red cells, white cells, high pH, protein. Yeah, that looks like a train wreck. So at least you would know, and then you could start some of those home remedies like D-mannose and cranberry. I did a consult with somebody the other day who said, yeah, the dog was licking a lot down there, and she thought maybe the dog might be, and the dog has some kidney issues, so they thought maybe the dog might be brewing some sort of urinary tract infection. So she just started the dog on cranberry and D-mannose, and within 5 days, the dog stopped the licking, didn't seem to be irritated anymore. So she managed to literally nip it in the bud and solve the issue without that, and without having your dog be miserable for 3 weeks. That's the real thing. Like, if you've ever had a UTI, oh my gosh, I don't want to wait 5 minutes to get to a doctor, let alone 3 weeks. So if you are educated and empowered to be able to deal with some of those things at home with natural remedies and do some of those diagnostics, then that's just going to save you a lot of aggravation and save your pet a lot of suffering while you're waiting, because things are so crazy right now. So I really like Dr. Ringgold, because he really has that in mind, that pet owners need to kind of take the reins and kind of take hold of what they're doing. So let's see. Have the golden puppy, the other live with the kidney failure that eats raw. I cooked it. She's been loving it. Thank you. Yep. Especially with these kidney dogs. Stuart was the same way. He was raw fed his entire life. And he just got to the point where it literally either had to be a freeze dried, which a lot of them will do freeze dried as a texture thing, because it's just a little more processed, or it needed to be cooked. But a lot of them really like it cooked and they like it served warm. And for those of you who are feeding raw, please do not feed the food cold. You've got to warm it up, and feed it at room temperature. So, all right, Lai ordered her vitamin D test kit today. Awesome. Heard you in a podcast that salt is good. How much salt is good? My dog licks us a lot, especially when we're sweating. Yeah, so that means your dog is low in sodium and chloride, probably. Yeah, I did a consult with somebody, and the whole reason they wanted to do a consult was their dog was constantly licking them. And her husband happened to come in from the gym while we were talking, and the dog just flew over there and was licking. And I was like, well, your dog just needs salt. So, just a pinch of salt. They don't need much. I think on my pup loaf recipe that makes like 5 pounds of food, we use like a half a teaspoon. It's in the book. I can't remember. So it's not a lot, but that little pinch. Sodium and chloride are really, really important for nerve transmission, for transmission of electrical impulses between cells, a lot of the cellular metabolism. So, think about us. What are they saying on radio and TV right now? Oh my gosh, we have this heat wave. Get your electrolytes. Make sure you have sodium, chloride, potassium. So really critical for our pets as well. And it's going to be worse in this kind of weather. So, depending on the size of your dog, but literally just a pinch of salt in there. And for those who have dogs with heart disease, prone to heart disease, don't throw out the salt. They still need sodium and chloride for cellular function. So the low salt thing for dogs with heart disease and cats with heart disease comes from the human world. In the human world, we eat high salt diets. A lot of our food is preserved with salt. We tend to salt everything. We have very high salt diets. Our pets don't. Pet food does not contain a lot of salt. Certainly in some of the soft, moist, really low quality treats from the grocery store or the big box stores, those might have salt or sugar as a preservative. So I would avoid those. But for pet foods, you're going to see salt on the label. Usually this is a good little label reading trick. Salt is usually 0.5% of the recipe. So when you're reading the ingredients on like a bag of kibble or a can of food and you get to salt, you're at 0.5%. So if blueberries and spinach and cranberries and all the good stuff, all the pretty pictures on the bag come after salt, there's probably one blueberry in there. If that. So that's a nice little tip to know. Some pet foods you won't see salt added, and that's because when they're formulated and calculated, there is enough sodium and chloride showing up in the recipe that it doesn't have to be added. So a lot of my recipes don't have added salt, but particularly if you have a pet who is licking you all the time, particularly when you're sweating, they're asking for a little bit of salt. Okay.
And side note for that, Dr. Connor Brady, in one of his videos I saw recently, recommended adding salt, just like you said, a little pinch of salt to water and having a separate water bowl, one with, one without, and letting them, when they need.
Yep. Yeah. And now that we're talking about this, I'm thinking, I really should be putting electrolytes in some of my horse water buckets right now, because it's so hot. So yeah. Enjoyed the video about supplements since you're I think the golden retriever is allergic to shellfish. I can't use them except the deer antler velvet one. In addition, she's not digesting the brown rice. Any alternative? So brown rice is high fiber. The only way that you might get her to digest it is if you really long cook or pressure cook that brown rice. Like I said, I don't use grains in my recipes anyway. So I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to get out of the brown rice. And if it's, but brown rice is a good blood tonic and it's cooling to neutral. We could go, you might try quinoa, although I've had dogs that poop quinoa out whole as well.
Mhm.
I hate to say to go to lentils. So I'm not sure what you're using the brown rice for,
I
but
would say if anything, leave it out altogether, but
yeah,
depends why
it depends what you're
it.
using it for. Like I maybe try sweet potato. Sweet potato would be a really good fiber source that's much more highly digestible. And so, yeah, you can use the Life Deer Velvet for your dog for mobility issues, arthritis issues, that sort of thing. It's just really good for regenerating stem cells, that sort of thing. So the Life is actually well, I think it's labeled for dogs.
Mm-mm.
It's human labeled still.
Mhm.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because that was originally the human product because
Yeah.
it didn't have the green lip mussel or anything in it. But for dogs that have, or people that have a shellfish allergy but want that deer antler velvet, that's why we have that one, because it's just the deer antler velvet. So you can get those benefits without having to worry about the shellfish. What can you give your dog? A supplement of omega if he has chronic pancreatitis, doesn't do well with liquid. So Phytosynergy by Adored Beast is a powder phytoplankton you could use. It's a really dark green. It turns the entire meal dark green, and you only use a little tiny bit of it. So that would work. And then what I've done with my own pancreatitis dogs in the past is encapsulated omegas. So we have the Derma 3 capsules, and pancreatitis dogs generally do well with encapsulated omegas. So that would be another option to try an encapsulated one or the powder. What would I recommend for the luxating patella? So I'm thinking it's probably a smallish dog because of the luxating patella, but my senior formula has the deer antler velvet, the green lip mussel. So a small dog would just be one of those a day. It's a little chewable. So that would work really well. I mean, cold laser works. We've got a million things on the, actually, I think
You have a blog.
I was
on
going to
that.
say there's a blog on luxating patella on drjudymorgan.com that gives you lots and lots of links for different things. Something like golden paste if the dog is lame at all. Voltrex? Voltrex, the gold standard Voltrex is also really good for joint and ligament problems, which a luxating patella is a combination of things. It can be a stretched patellar ligament, so it could be a ligament weakness. It also, for a lot of them, how do I do this? So the top of your, or the bottom of your thigh bone has two ridges, and the kneecap is this little ball that rides up and down between the two ridges. And so, in a lot of these dogs with a luxating patella, either they have a weak ligament or the inside ridge is flat. And so it just falls off because it doesn't have a deep enough groove. So I used to do this really cool surgery where we would take a wedge out between those two and make the groove deeper. And so we would deepen the groove and then put the wedge of cartilage back in there so that it didn't cause arthritis and a rough surface. It was a really cool surgery. I really enjoyed it. The hardest part of it was finding the little X-Acto saws, the craft saws, to do the surgery. But we do have a blog on luxating patella that has links to lots of different supplements and things that you could try. Cold laser acupuncture, chiropractic is really good for luxating patella. So you might look into those things if you have anybody who can do it. Best foods and herbs for acid reflux and pancreatitis. So acid reflux can be caused by a lot of different things. One of my dogs has acid reflux, and it is from food stagnation. So I use the herb Bao but if you've got acid reflux and pancreatitis, maybe it depends on the breed of the dog and what issues they have going on, what their personality is. But you may have some liver qi stagnation causing heat and inflammation in that area. Adoptrex is something you might try, the gold standard Adoptrex, because that is made for kind of those upper GI issues. So it really depends what's causing it.
You also have 2 really great blogs on those subjects. You
I
have
do.
one on acid reflux and another one on pancreatitis.
Actually, there's 2 on pancreatitis. There's pancreatitis and pancreatitis revisited.
There is an entire resource page on the website for pancreatitis that includes Dr. Steve Marsden's pancreatitis
he has a whole course
on Dr. Judy U.
Yep.
It has the recommended products for pancreatitis, your blogs, and other videos that you've done on it.
So just go to drjudymorgan.com and the little magnifying glass at the top. Click on that and then type in pancreatitis. You're going to get a whole page of information on that.
I use that page all the time for people.
What kind of salt would you recommend for dogs? So I got in trouble with this because I said sea salt and somebody said, oh my gosh, microplastics. And I was like, microplastics? What are we even talking about? And so then I had to go down that rabbit hole. Himalayan pink salt is kind of, I think, the best. And I will tell you that my husband, the chef, we probably have 17 kinds of salt in our cabinet. He sees, we have Celtic sea salt and we have Himalayan pink salt and fine grind, coarse grind. We have a lot of salt. 13-year-old Irish setter. We do not see many Irish setters.
I would say back on the salt thing though, the one I would not use is iodized table salt.
Yeah. Yep.
Any other salt, not iodized table salt.
Yeah, those are bad. 13-year-old Irish setter, a fused back and fecal incontinence, been having chronic urinary tract infections, back and forth on antibiotics, started PEA, eats all provide. So, so those chronic urinary tract infections, then you start getting all kinds of resistance because of the on and off with the antibiotics. And hopefully you've been doing cultures, but you end up with just all kinds of resistance with that. So PEA is going to be good for that. I would definitely be using a cranberry supplement, the D-mannose, Easy Peasy from Adored Beast. That's a whole protocol that has, I think it has marshmallow root in it. It has all kinds of things in it. Dandelion, maybe.
NAG.
So that would be a really good protocol to run through. You may have to keep running her through it, with that fused back. Fecal incontinence too. So acupuncture can be really good for that. It's a little disconcerting to see the acupuncture for the fecal incontinence because literally the needle, you lift the tail and it goes right at the top of the anus. But I've had pretty good success. And even when the back is fused, when I would do chiropractic on them, sometimes we could still get a little bit of motion in there. And I would consider trying the Lumbrex. I think you might get a little bit of help with that. But you definitely, with that chronic urinary tract infection, and there's a reason why you're getting all of that. It's because she doesn't have good nerve flow. Everything's getting pinched and she's not getting a good nerve flow. She probably doesn't empty her bladder completely. Because she's not getting that, that nerve innervation that it's going to really contract it. And this is what we see in older women. That's why older women are more prone to urinary tract infections because the bladder, and old men too, but more women, the bladder doesn't empty as well. And a 13-year-old Irish setter is an old dog because that's a larger breed dog. So I would be keeping her on some sort of urinary tract support. And, we know that glucosamine in cats works really well. So I would use a glucosamine source as well. And with her back issues, the glucosamine certainly isn't going to hurt anything. So this is one of those where you're going to layer on a bunch of different things. And then if you have somebody who can do acupuncture, cold laser, chiropractic, certainly worth all those things too. Okay. Do dogs need muscle meat? One of the higher end dog food companies just released their raw food patties. They don't use muscle meat, just organ meat and some veggies. Well, if they're using heart, that is a muscle. So that is a muscle meat. Tongue is a muscle meat. Spleen isn't really a muscle. It's more of a secreting, but sometimes you'll see a lot more of that in there. So if heart is their main organ source, that's a muscle. So don't worry about that at all. You're getting it. So I know there are some companies that is their main source.
Yeah, and I have a feeling I know what brand that they're talking about.
Yeah, me too.
But the reason for that is also that they use higher amounts of organ meats so that they don't have to use as many ingredients in the formulation because organ meats are so nutrient dense.
Right.
So,
yeah. So when you see more organs in there, we just get so many vitamins and minerals from them that we don't get just from muscle meat. And that's why if you're making your own food, it really is critical to include organ meat. And I know a lot of people just get so skeeved out about, oh my God, I have to handle liver. It's slimy. It's slimy. But I add extra heart to my dog's meals, every meal, either turkey or chicken, because that's what I can get easily. So yeah, that's absolutely fine. Believe me, they're getting what they need in there. Hello from Portugal. Absolutely love Dr. G and Rita Hogan. Good. Glad to hear that. What are your thoughts on organic coconut water for electrolytes? That would be fine.
I've used it.
Yeah, that would be absolutely fine. Cooking food in a slow cooker. That's fine. Best type of salt we talked about. Use an integrated fat going to start Lumbrex Gold Standard. Great. Perfect. What can stimulate appetite? Really smelly things, warm things. So things like sardines and tripe and warming up the food to release the odors. And I mean, I've had dogs where I have struggled getting things in them, and I have at times gone through my refrigerator and tried everything. And there are times when, if you just need to get calories in to keep them going while you're trying to fix something, I don't worry about balance. I don't worry about what it is that I'm feeding, although I've never resorted to kibble. I've resorted to high quality canned food occasionally. There is a high quality canned food that I like, Rockster. So that's an option. But sometimes a little garlic powder will stimulate them, a little Parmesan cheese. I had one dog that sour cream was the magic bullet. I know it's like sour cream. I literally went through my refrigerator and pulled out everything, and it's like, how about this? How about this? How about this? So try anything. And if this is a dog, there is a veterinary product called Entice that works for some. Mirtazapine you would have to get from your veterinarian, but that is a good appetite stimulant. For cats, you can only give it like twice a week. For dogs, you give it daily. So, and again, it's not something you're using long term. It's if you've got to get them eating while you're trying to get over a hump. There are some things out there you can do. Should I feed my Cavalier B2 dog high protein with lean meat and low fat? Should I avoid certain raw diets with high protein and moderate fats? No. You can, a B2 Cavalier, I wouldn't worry about either of those things. What we want is a species appropriate diet. So we want those blood tonics. We want chi tonics. We want to really support what the heart needs, which is muscle meat, organ meats. Unless you're, and I can't even say that with a pancreatitis dog, I worry about fats because raw fats don't cause pancreatitis. Cooked fats do. So the one thing that I would avoid for that Cavalier is I wouldn't use fillers like grains and legumes, and eggs are going to be really good. Sardines are really good. So we're getting lots of omegas. So yeah. How does one go about getting a fecal test done for microbiome? I have a dog that is fearful and reactive. Would love to try to help her more. There's a bunch of companies that are doing it. Animal Biome is one of them.
VDI Labs.
And
you can get 15% off.
There you go. VDI Labs. We have theirs in the store. So that's on drjudymorgan.com. VDI Labs 2024 will get you 15% off. I've done it on my animals, and it's a really easy test to do. You collect a stool sample, pack it up, send it in, you get a result. Pretty cool. So, but there's quite a few. Is Legacy Biome doing testing or just supplying?
Not that I know of.
They're just supplying the fecal transplant. So yeah, we are going to start carrying the Legacy Biome fecal transplant capsules, which are from raw fed, unvaccinated like 7th-generation dogs. So very, very healthy microbiome. They're Margot Roman's dogs that these capsules are made from. So once you get your tests done, and if you want to do, so that's the thing. If you're doing a fecal transplant capsule, it's important to know the sourcing on those. What the animals were being fed, because if you're a raw feeder, you don't really want to do a fecal transplant with feces from a kibble-fed dog that's had a bunch of vaccines. It's going to be a totally different biome. Any advice for dog with both cancer and EPI? Well, lots and lots of mushroom. I mean, the EPI, if we're talking exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, hopefully is under control just using digestive enzymes. Those are actually really easy to control. But when we're talking about cancer, we have great cancer resources on the website and also in keeping your pets naturally healthy. A huge fan of mushrooms, CBD. Oh my gosh, there's so many things. Melatonin. There's so many things that we use for cancer. Herbal formulations, turmeric. There's a million things out there. So I would just look at the type of cancer that the dog has, and then figure out how the diet could support what's going on for that particular cancer, and then what herbs could help support that. And Sarah, if you wanted to do a consultation with that, we do have a couple of our holistic consultants who love to work with cancer cases. And Dr. Judy Jasek has a short course on Dr. Judy Yu on using mistletoe for cancer.
There's also a course called Feeding Dogs
with cancer on Dr. Judy Yu. So you might want to look at those things too. Carolyn, thank you for posting the blog on the luxating patella. If a food has tons of organs and no muscle meat, I would be mainly concerned about excessive amounts of liver, especially from ruminant animals, which is very high in copper and vitamin A. Yeah, and if it's the company I'm thinking of, they're testing every batch to know where they are, and they would not be using too much liver, because if you get above 10% liver, you start getting diarrhea issues anyway. And the other thing that I would be concerned with lots of organs is if you have a dog who needs a low purine diet, then that's not going to work.
Yeah. And another note on copper and vitamin A, it's very different in high quality sourced animals versus feedlot sourced animals.
And also versus synthetic supplements added in. The synthetic supplements bioavailability is all over the place. We have no idea. Dog is struggling with diarrhea and allergies, eating raised right turkey, taking bupleurum and tanquai, and a Wu-Wah formula. How can I help her? That is beyond what I can answer in a comment.
Yeah, that's
because I have no idea. Yeah, that to me is a leaky gut problem. So I think I would be looking at fixing the leaky gut. I'm wondering, and you can try to get in Steve Marsden's group and ask questions in there more specifically with the herbs. But I'm thinking you have a leaky gut problem with allergies and diarrhea, and you may have a bit of a food intolerance somewhere. I love raised right, but you may have a food intolerance. When you purchase raw organic mushrooms, what's the best way to prepare them? So mushrooms do need to be processed in some way to release the beta glucans and the things that we really want from them. I love sauteing them in coconut oil. You can also use virgin olive oil, healthy oils. You can steam them. You can, as long as they get cooked in some way, you can run them through a food processor, but that breaks down the cell walls, but it really doesn't release the really good stuff. That's why a lot of times we're using tinctures and powders and extracts when we really want that medicinal benefit, because it's hard to get that in a concentrated form. Like you would have to use a lot of mushrooms, but to release at least some of that, then cooking them in some sort of oil is actually the best way to do it. Options to replace Movaflex and Cosequin. 7-year-old German Shepherd was prescribed this 2 years ago, mainly back legs giving him issues. Well, it kind of depends what's causing all the problems, but certainly I'm obviously a big fan of deer antler velvet. I think the Movaflex might have green lip mussel in it. But my senior formula has the green lip mussel and deer antler velvet. I would look at products like the co-curcumin that have, or make your own golden paste, something with the turmeric in it, because it's just so good for moving blood. Voltrex, yeah. I think gold standard Voltrex would be a good option. And then, it's a 7-year-old German Shepherd with issues already. Do we have DM as a possibility? And Steve Marsden does have a DM formula as well. So I don't know if you've had your dog tested for that. Acupuncture, cold laser, chiropractic for sure. Senior BMD, I'm guessing that's Bernese Mountain. Always had joint issues within the last 3 months, lost his back end. Looking to wean him off all meds. Currently, I'm told to keep him on 10 milligrams of pred a day. What natural remedy? Walking again, but I do believe meds were his downfall. Oh, yeah, Librela. Yeah, that would be a downfall for sure. Yeah, we don't want to keep him on pred. So the question is, are the problems in the hips, the hocks, or the spine? Because that could make a difference. If the prednisone is what seems to be helping, because I think that Librela causes some severe inflammatory issues, autoimmune issues. You could try plant sterols. You could start adding in plant sterols. And after he's been on them for a few weeks, then you could try decreasing your prednisone by very tiny amounts slowly and see what happens. These dogs with the Librela issues, some of them don't come back. A lot of them do, but it's a very long time. If you don't have a help them up harness, I would seriously look into a help them up harness for them. And maybe some toe grips to help him really grab on with the little bit of grab he's got. But I have a great blog, Natural Remedies for Arthritis, to kind of replace all those kinds of things, which is going to give you about 20 ideas. So you might want to look at that as well. Feeding organs and ratios that occur in animals is safest. I would agree with that. So the senior formula with deer antler velvet and green lip mussel, do I still need glucosamine chondroitin? No, because that formula provides natural sources of glucosamine and chondroitin. So you don't need to add in another. Hi, Suzanne Brousseau. If you feed mostly turkey, do you need to add taurine? It depends. If you're feeding a complete and balanced diet, it depends whether you're making your own and if you have organs in there and what else is in there. But if it's a complete and balanced, you're probably okay. Because again, the companies look at the amino acid profile of what they're making, and so it'll tell them if they're low in it. You're not going to hurt them if you add a taurine supplement. There is no toxic dose of taurine. It's not an expensive thing to supplement. So if you want to throw some taurine powder in there, you're not going to hurt them. I'm not sure that you need it. Just depends on the sourcing on the turkey. And again, dark meat turkey is going to have more than the white meat turkey. Omega oil, turmeric, eggshells that I currently add. Does your supplement include all, so I don't need to add these? I don't know what you're at, and I don't know what the first thing is. I don't know what supplement you're talking about. I don't have a supplement that has all those things in it. I can tell you that. So the deer antler velvet senior.
Unless you're talking about a base mix or something.
Yeah, I don't know what she's talking about there. Cavalier Fire Dog B2 is lean turkey meat, good to feed for the high protein, low fat. Also has some elevated kidney values and is dehydrated from recent blood work. See, I'd be careful about getting too lean. We need the healthy fats. and the heart muscle in particular needs the healthy fats and the omegas. And if the kidney value, I don't know why we have elevated kidney values with a B2. You shouldn't be on high doses of diuretics or anything. So my way around that is I feed my normal diets, whether that's all provide, small batch, raised right, Viva Raw, whatever. And if the kidney disease is bad enough that I have to be modifying things, I add sweet potato to make that about 25% of the diet. So, and I don't know what you're using along with the lean turkey meat, so just make sure that you have a well-balanced diet. And I wouldn't feed only lean turkey as my only meat. We need organs. That's going to be a blood deficient diet, and not a great ketonic diet. So is it given every day for life? Oh, this is, I don't know what supplement you're talking about, the senior formula. Yes.
I think that question is also.
Yeah. So the senior is not going to replace eggshells and turmeric and omegas. It replaces glucosamine and chondroitin, and it helps with brain function, but it doesn't have a calcium source that would replace your eggshells. Turmeric is still just really, really good for arthritis issues, and so is omega-3 for heart, brain, and arthritis. So,
and yes, the senior formula can be given every day.
Yeah, exactly. With the turkey question, it's small batch. Oh, that's balanced. That's fine. Goji's loving her organ dense brand. There you go.
Awesome.
Sardines are okay for pancreatitis. Yeah, I'd buy the ones in water, but they're actually very lean if you buy them in water. Share any vets in the Georgia area. I've only found conventional vets. It depends where you are. Georgia's a big state. I know that Dennis Becker at All Provide in Norcross has a holistic vet that he goes to, and she spoke at the AHVMA.
There's a list that we have for recommended vets that vet is on.
Okay.
In the Dr. Judy official Facebook group. Okay. I kind of recognize her name. I think you might be in it. I'm not sure. But if you are, we have a recommended vets that document in there, one that by state.
Yeah, basically that other people have sent us and said, oh, I really love this vet. But you can also check ahvma.org. That's the Holistic Vet Association, and put your state in and see who's there. For a dog with seasonal allergies, would your senior formula or wellness be more appropriate? Doesn't really matter. The senior is just more concentrated. They're a little bit different. The wellness has colostrum in it. The senior formula has ginseng.
Yes.
For brain health and cognition. And it's a more concentrated form of deer velvet and green lip mussel. So either one. If it's a small dog, that's not, if you just want it for allergies, then probably the wellness because it's got the colostrum in it.
Yeah. If it's a bigger dog and you're dealing with seasonal allergies, you might want to look at one of the other options on the website for allergies.
Yeah, we have a whole page on allergies as well. We've got tons of allergy supplements. Hey, Renee Ayers. When we're doing all the right things, a good diet, the right supplements, bottled water, we still suddenly lose our young dog who's never been sick. How do we avoid dogs developing hemangio? Good question, because we don't know what causes hemangio. Could it be early spay or neuter? And I don't think your dogs were done early either. Could it be vaccines given along the way? Could it be something environmental? We know that cancers, it's only a very small percent that is actually a genetic issue. But I've had that happen with a lot of my holistic clients too. I had one, her 5-year-old dog died of osteosarcoma of the jaw, and it was from a raw feeding breeder. We didn't vaccinate the dog. It was raw fed from the get-go. Osteosarcoma dead she actually died at 6, but diagnosed at 5. I had another one with amelanotic melanoma who was unvaccinated, raw fed, very holistic owner. And these were also both owners who were very good about the mental and emotional and environmental aspects for their dogs. So sometimes it happens, it jumps up and bites us, and we don't know why. And the only thing we can do is do the best we can, like you're doing. And sometimes, we can't control all those things, and it's kind of sucky. So, yeah. Like, why does my dog have bladder cancer? I don't know. I don't use all those lawn chemicals and stuff, and I don't know. What do I recommend for an 80-pound dog that seems to throw up anytime he's given a bone? Try duck neck, can't do chicken, turkey, or pork due to sensitivities. Was he an 80-pound dog, so is he not chewing it up really well? He might. How about, can he do things like chicken feet or duck feet? Or maybe a rib bone.
I mean, if it's bones in general, I'd be suspicious of like a low stomach acid problem.
There you go. But something like a duck neck, I bet he's swallowing pieces that are good-sized chunks, would be my thinking. So I don't know that I have a good answer for that.
The question is, are you feeding raw with like ground bone in it? And if he's fine with that, then it's likely not a bone issue.
Yeah.
Could just be a size issue.
Yeah. Is it possible to get vitamin D through whole foods? Yeah. Fish, salmon's a great way to get vitamin D levels up. Like if you want to throw a chunk of salmon in every meal, or at least a few times a week, you're going to get the vitamin D that you need. Egg yolks are another great source. Liver's a great source. You can throw in your search engine food sources of vitamin D, and all that stuff will come up. It's just a matter of how much of that, depending on the size of the dog. So if I had an 80-pound dog and I wanted to get all my vitamin D from egg yolks, that's a lot of eggs. You can get chickens. But you can, then you end up throwing other things out of whack. So yeah, it's possible. And fish is actually the best way to do it. And salmon is much higher. Like an orange fish is much higher in it than a white fish would be. So, but then you get into the whole sourcing your salmon and making sure it doesn't have heavy metals and ocean toxins and blah, blah. 12-month-old pup in the emergency for the second time. Inflammation of the intestines and pancreas, but don't know the reasons for it. Symptoms, excessive drooling. What's that dog eating? That's what I want to know. Is that dog eating a popular kibble brand? Would be my question on that one. So if you tell me what that dog's eating, then I can give you a better answer. Would you ever recommend early B2 to get off heart meds and just be on CoQ10 and Hawthorne? I've had people do it. You have to wean slowly if you've already started them. This is one of those, if you ask 10 cardiologists, you're going to get 10 different opinions. I don't like to start them too early, but we have other cardiologists who are like, boom, medications. So that's something you'd have to really work, because I don't know your personal dog. But yes, I have had people that wanted to do that. We've had really good results with the 5-leaf pet botanical heart protocol, which is 5 different things, including Hawthorne as one of them. So we've had some that have been able to do it and do very, very well and remain stable. You would just have to be really vigilant. And if you decided to, for instance, one person who works for us, her cardiologist recommended probably 2 years ago for her to start her dog on pimobendan, and she hasn't yet. And every time she goes back, the cardiologist is like, oh, this dog's doing really great. Looks great. Everything's working, and hasn't started the medication yet. So up to you. But you gotta be really on top of that if you're going to do something like that, and do it gradually. Are the other videos like Julianne Lee available on this YouTube channel too? The ones from the summit? I don't know how long they stay live. I think it's like only 24 hours, but if for $59, I think today's the last day you can do it. You can get lifetime access to them. I think as of tomorrow, when the summit's over, it goes up to $129. So Sean, if you're if you want to see the ones that you missed, it's worth $59, I think, to see those. We do have a couple of, we have a free leaky gut webinar on Dr. Judy U with Julianne Lee. And then
we also have another
podcast with her.
I think you did 2 with her.
Yeah, I think one hasn't come out yet. But so, you know, there are other things, but not what she talked about in this summit.
I think if I'm assuming gut health is your interest there, and Pet Summits has an entire gut health
Katie Woodley's
summit that you can probably purchase as well if you need, if that's what you want.
Yep. Yeah, and I think we have a podcast with Katie as well on gut health. So so there are other sources out there, but if you want to have access to everything that's been posted over the last 4 days, $59, you'll get it for a lifetime, and you can keep referring to it. Best cooling drying foods for a warm, damp dog recovering from extended antibiotic use, tick-borne illness, unresponsive to herbal treatment. Cooling drying would be rabbit. Is going to probably be your best bet. We don't have as much on that end of the spectrum. When we want warming drying, we have venison and elk and goat and lots of stuff up that end. Beaver might be fairly drying. I think that's pretty lean. Alligator.
It is lean. It is very
alligator
lean.
would be cooling and drying as well. So if you can get a hold of those, they are available. Yeah, if you're interested in the copper content in the food, you can look at the full nutritional analysis. And they are all over the place. And AFCO just did us wrong on that because they have a minimum for copper. They don't have a maximum. And some of these companies where the minimum is 7, they're at 70. So, but, you know, good companies are going to have the full nutritional analysis on their website, or you can call them or email them for it and say, I need to know what the copper content is in this food, particularly if you've had a pet with copper storage disease. Yeah, be wary of formulas with beef liver that also have a copper synthetic. And that's where we get, you see copper oxide, copper sulfate, you see all these add-ins, particularly in the kibbles, but there are even some raw and gently cooked foods that have a lot of synthetic supplements in them. What does gently cooked mean? Usually it's either steamed or it's, for those of us at home, cooking it in a slow cooker. So it's usually at a lower temperature, retains the moisture. So it's not being cooked to death. So it's my grandmother used to put a steak in the frying pan at 8 o'clock in the morning and cook it all day till 5 o'clock. Talk about shoe leather. That is not gently cooked.
No.
All right. Dog toe treads as opposed to toe grips might also be an option. I have not heard of dog toe treads. So there, yeah, for dogs that knuckle, there's all kinds of things. There's also bands that help that you can attach to their foot that go up to like a harness that help bring the foot up and forward. There's a lot of things out there that are helpful for them now. Swear by the senior formula. My boy had a full CCL tear 4 years ago with a TPLO. Said for sure arthritis. X-rays last year showed none. Yay! That's unusual. So good for you. If you have a dog that has a cruciate tear, needs a TPLO, get chiropractic care. 75% of them are going to blow out the other one the next year. And if you do chiropractic on them and realign things, get the nerve flow good to those areas, and then also support them. Manganese deficiencies are a big reason for cruciate tears. And then like the Voltrex that Dr. Marsden formulated is really good. So if I had a dog who had a CCL tear, man, I would be jumping on all those things right away so that the other one didn't blow out. Do Adequan injections have any long-lasting side effects? I'm a huge fan of Adequan because it's basically a nutraceutical. It's it's polyglycosaminoglycans. It's the building blocks for cartilage and joint fluid. So it's basically giving the body what it needs to make what it needs. And when we look at joint fluid, like if we tap a joint in old animals, old people, the joint fluid is very thin and watery, and sometimes it's bloody. Whereas in a young animal, it's thick and sticky and really lubricating for that gliding. And so the Adequan helps them rebuild that. And one of my daughter's old show ponies was just hobbling and crippled and not doing well. He was retired, but I still wanted him to be comfortable. And we started him on Adequan, and within a month, he was galloping around the field with everybody. And it was just amazing. It was originally made for horses, but we used a lot of it in my practice, and I never saw side effects. There is a slight chance that it decreases platelet stickiness. So it's recommended that you don't give an injection within like 10 days of going into a big surgery, if at all possible. That's about it. Dog has kidney issues, 52 BUN. Can I still feed her raw? Yes, you can. You can do cooked if you want to, but either way, other levels are good. She's back and forth on anemia every 3 or 4 months. Had a seizure a month ago. Has not had another one. Is on Keppra. Well, there's a lot going on. So the anemia, is that from chronic kidney disease? I mean, BUN is not bad at all. I would have no problem with that dog being on a raw diet. And again, if she's in like stage 3 or stage 4, if she's in stage 3 or stage 4 with a BUN of 52, you're managing it really well. And so at that point, I would be adding in something like sweet potato to dilute out the protein. But yeah, I've left my kidney dogs on their raw or gently cooked. And you only have to move, if you're on raw, the only reason you would have to move to gently cooked is if the dog is saying, not interested in the raw anymore. So yeah. All right. 11-month puppy still seems to have issues digesting some proteins.
Down below that, 11-month-old puppy
had
had parvo.
Pet parents tried raw and cooked, but getting desperate. And this is the one that I forget what was going on. Didn't want to eat.
I think she's talking about another dog.
In the emergency for the second time, inflammation. That's not that one.
This is a new one.
This is a new one. 11-month-old puppy had parvo when it was young. Still seems to have issues digesting some proteins. Very fussy with foods. Tried raw and cooked, but getting desperate. So that dog, I'm sure, has got some leaky gut issues. So we probably should go through a leaky gut protocol with that one. And I probably would, we probably had a lot of damage to those intestines, although hopefully it should have repaired itself by now. But I'd probably treat for leaky gut, and maybe there's digestive enzymes in that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the leaky gut protocol, yep.
Yeah, so I'd probably do a leaky gut protocol on it, and hope that helps it eat a little bit better. Just had to Google plant sterols. My guy's 95 pounds on Adequan. What would be the recommended dosage, and do you have a preferable brand?
On the website.
Hips and Hawks. Yeah, it's on our website and has doses on the website. I think the brand that we have is Now.
Beta-sitosterol.
Beta-sitosterol. It's a human brand, but it's on our website. So you can check that out. No vaccines, not spayed, and only 9 years old. Yeah, Renee, I know. Totally sucks. Do you know that it was a hemangio on the second one? Because I know you lost 2 dogs close together. Best methods for natural deworming through food. I have that in here, and I may have it in here as well.
It's definitely in this one.
It's in the raisin. Okay. So there's...
you also have a blog on it for intestinal parasites.
There you go. Lots of information about that. Chews and throws up. Could it be low acid? The bones. Yeah. Could it be low acid? What can I do? I would try maybe ribs. The duck necks, are there chunks that are coming up? I don't know. I don't know if I have a good answer for that.
There's a really good blog from My Pet Nutritionist over in the UK on low stomach acid. If I would give that a read and see if your dog ticks some of the boxes for that. And I think they also have suggestions.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't had anybody with that issue. Tick-borne bacteria and hemangiosarcoma tumors, but there's no proof of causation. Yeah, who knows? We don't know. What would be your suggestion for a 7-year-old that is Developing eye mydriasis. Eyes have been examined by specialists. No cataracts, no dry eye. I'm thinking it's neurologic. So I would think we might have nerve inflammations. So maybe try something like lion's mane mushroom. Very good for nerves. The PEA would be a very good anti-inflammatory. I'm thinking that there's a autoimmune component there. I don't know what that is.
I think she's saying that your presentation on supplements was good, and so was Rita
Oh,
Hogan's.
okay, great. Have loved watching every day. Good. Going to try and come to the summit in Orlando. Yay.
Awesome.
Recommend any cardiologists and holistic vets in California. I'm from Southern California and have a B2 Cavalier. I do a lot of consults with people in California, so I'm thinking holistic. Oh,
there's one in San Diego.
There is. Katie Kangas is in San Diego.
Isn't Karin Marsden in San
Karin Marsden and Barry Sands are both in San Diego. Again, check out ahvma.org. And those holistic vets might be able to tell you what cardiologists they like. Again, the cardiologists are so, first of all, they're freaking hard to get into, just ridiculous these days. So I don't have a good, I would, find a holistic vet and ask them. Loved your presentation about supplements, lots of good info. Same with Rita. Okay. Is this the canned food? Rockster. Yeah. Rockster's great. It's very rich, and everything in there is like the highest level of organic sourcing that they have. It's made in Europe. What would you recommend for a 5-year-old 20-pound dachshund to help prevent back issues in the future? Good diet, keep them lean, and moving. Use slippery elm for anemia. I've not used slippery elm for anemia. I think there's better blood tonics, and no jumping off furniture, no stairs, keep weight down, healthy diet. Yeah, they can do really well. Natural heartworm protection recommendations. I have a whole blog on heartworm. So
Parasite ebook.
And yes, I don't have that here, but we have a Parasite ebook. It's also in print. So what helps my dog? He eats grass every time we go outside. It kind of depends why he's doing it. He may just enjoy it. He may be missing something in his diet. Best way to feed chicken feet, hang on to one end so he has to chew. Since your Clumber ate part of a tennis ball and had surgery, you can no longer stomach raw meaty bones and vomits them back up. Yeah, some dogs don't tolerate them. My 1-year-old takes standard processed Zypon with each meal as he has low stomach acid. There you go. All right. 13-year-old stage D heart dog, 18 pounds. I'd probably do about a 1/4 teaspoon of the D-ribose a day. I'm going to ignore that one.
And the next one.
Best dog to practice yoga with. No clue. I know people do goat yoga. I've seen all different breeds do it. I would do something not too big, probably. All right. We are getting spammed.
Well, we've only got 2 minutes left. So
how to detox dogs in a refuge who were given harmful chemicals to remove ticks. I have a blog, a flea and tick blog. It's also in the Parasite book. It's in Keeping Your Pets Naturally Healthy and Raising. We have lots of information on detoxing.
There's a detox protocol in the blog. If you type in side effects in drjudymorgan.com, that blog will pop up.
Yeah, we have side effects of flea and tick medications, and there's a detox protocol in there.
You actually have that as a separate download too now. If you go to Dr. Judy U and downloads, there's an isoxazoline drug detox PDF.
There you go.
If you just want that detox protocol.
Dr. Orbahalo in San Diego is an amazing cardiologist. There you go. Dog has PSOM and can't have surgery. Yeah. Ears are hot, throat's swollen, sometimes hard and unmovable. She's an orthobionomist. So you could try NAC, Patty. NAC dissolves phlegm, and then phlegm drainers like clams in the diet. That was kind of what I had to do with Stewie because he couldn't have surgery either. Southern Cal oddly does not have many holistic vets. And in your so Los Angeles is such a huge problem because it takes you an hour and a half to go 3 blocks there. So even if I found you one, that Dr. Jean Dodds with Hemopet is somewhere outside LA. And she's got amazing holistic doctors there. Gary Richter is somewhere there. Hemangioma is a guess based on no signs of being sick until the day before she passed, just stopped eating. Couldn't have a necropsy because I wanted her cremated and couldn't do that after the necropsy. Yeah, I mean, Renee, she also, because she wasn't spayed, could we have had a simmering pyo that was asymptomatic and ruptured? I've seen those. So, we don't know. It could have been other things as well, unfortunately. So, bully stick holder may help for the chicken feet. Yeah, if you can get one that you can clamp it into.
All right, I think we're done.
All right, I think we are at the end. And what time is it? Yeah, it's right at 6 o'clock. So hope you all enjoyed the summit. Don't forget $59 for lifetime access or $199 if you want that, plus access to the Dog Longevity Made Easy and my flagship Food Therapy for Dogs online course. And don't forget VDI Labs 2024 on drjudymorgan.com will get you 15% off all VDI Labs products, which I think are just dang amazing. All right. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. Supporters, people on here who are my supporters, Facebook tomorrow night at 7 o'clock because Facebook doesn't seem to be pushing out the notice. All right. Bye.